Howdy, folks. Just getting started with the first stream for the Darlantus Crossfire how-tos. And when we fire up the client, this is the GTK2 client. Then you'll see a couple of their servers that are not mine, and the one that we want to be playing on you can get to by typing darlantus.free DDNS, there's two D's in that, .org, and then click on connect. Alright, so the next thing that you're going to see is this login account. We're going to say that you don't have an account already, so we're going to create a new one, and I'll say Bob. And we'll give a super secret password here, and then we can create an account. We'll put a character name of Bob, choose half-orc, choose warrior, and then down here we're going to have a certain number of unused points that we can play with and put into our different characteristics or attributes. And for a fighter, I'm just going to crank that up to 18, and dexterity give 18. That's how powerful your punches or sword swings are going to be. Dexterity is going to influence how fast your attack is, or how many attacks per second you can do. And your constitution is going to be like a level of health. Hardiness, it says. Your hit points are part of that. So for a fighter, we want to max that out. And I see I've got 18 unused points left. So for full-blown fighters, we're not going to use much intelligence or spells. We're not going to have a lot of wisdom or attribute for clerics or praying. Power is also used for magic, and so charisma would be the only other thing, and that could sway the cost of items for you to buy. It's your likability, and so I suppose the game is saying if you're more likable, you might get better deals haggling in the shops, perhaps. And so we have 18 points. There might be some use for skills or maybe praying, certainly to heal yourself if you're playing alone. So let's put some of those points into wisdom, some of those points into intelligence, and we might actually need a little bit into power then. And I don't really care overly about charisma, except that over here we have to at least have 1 point. I think down here at the bottom it says attributes less than 1 are not allowed. So we have to use at least 1 point for that. And then we've got 1 more point left, and I'll put into wisdom perhaps. Okay, so from this we can say okay. So for the starting map, there's a newbie. I strongly recommend that you start off in the beginner's house, and there's going to be a lot of good help for you there from the very beginning. And we'll say okay. There is a lot that you can do. I'm just going to do some basics to get you started. So the number pad can move you around, just as the directional keys on the number pad. So if I press the number 2, I'm going to go down. You might see my little character right here in the center of the map. And if I press the 8, that goes up, so the map appears to go down, scroll down. Pressing 2 goes down, 4 is to the left, 6 is to the right, and so I can move around a little bit. And then numbers like 1 is to the lower left, 7 is to the upper left, and so on. Okay. You can see that I already have a little bit of a setup for my map. It takes up the full screen, and you can use your mouse, come down to this little horizontal bar and scroll it up or down if you want to give more or less area to one of these things. Again, you can move things off to the left or the right. And what I really like is this layout right here. Pretty large map on the upper left. I have information down in the lower left about my stats, my health, 45 health points. Mana is how much magic. Grace is your cleric or wisdom or access to your God-given powers. Food, we always need to have some food points for us. There's ways to eat, which we'll see in a bit. Make sure you're not too low in food. And then experience points, right now we have 0. And when we get to 2,000 points, we'll start our next level. So I can move around a little bit, and you always, especially as a beginner, want to read signs. But even as a more experienced player, these signs can hold valuable information. So, and maybe clues to figuring out a puzzle or a mystery. So when I get on the sign, this one just starts to say, welcome to Crossfire. I won't go into all this, but it does say if I want to speak, then I can use this say hello command. And to run it or to execute a command, you can come down into this little window right under the chat. You can left click the mouse, and then we can type say hello, and it says hello. Because we are really close to this character over here in the lower right, his name is Sigmund, and so when we say hello, Sigmund responds, hello Newbie, he's a non-player character, and so on. And then it talks about using the say command. Notice here, and I wonder if my mouse is going to be able to highlight this in the video here. Notice that there is a single quote before the word say, and that is generally how you're going to start commands instead of having to click into the box. So you notice I can click in the box, and then I can type say hello, or without using the mouse at all, I can just use the single quote. It automatically brings my cursor into the command box, and then I can type say hello, which says hello also. You might not want to type the command every time, and so there are ways you can bind keys, strokes, to commands to make things go a little bit easier. It's kind of like macros or key bindings. And so for me, or I should say, the game generally automatically sets up a macro for the double quote to be the say command. So if I press the double quote right now, just double quote, it automatically brings me into this command field with the say command already typed out for me. And then if I just need to type hello, and there it is. So again, double quote hi, double quote quest, and those will be things that I can type or command. That's the way that I can say something really quickly, just by using the double quote. So when I walk down next to somebody, generally these people or NPCs, non-player characters, are going to have a lot of good info for you. So we almost always want to say hello to get started. And notice here, he is giving me a little bit of information. Would you like to tell me about the beds to reality? And I will double quote yes to say yes. And these NPCs sometimes have real detailed mechanisms to reply back to you, and other times they won't reply very well, or only on certain keywords. So here it says a bed to reality is a way to quit, and that's kind of an important thing in the game too. This game requires that you only exit from a certain position. I guess that way, if you're in the middle of a fight, you don't just log off and hope that the conflict goes away. So you have to be, or you're not allowed to just exit the game anywhere. And generally, there are several ways that you can get to beds pretty easily, but that's the way to exit the game. So kind of important. So here it says, do you want to know more? And we'll just say, oops, quote, say yes. And so here, notice I used the yes word one time to get one bit of information. And now that I've seen that, he remembers it. And then when I say yes another time, I get another bit of information. Do you want me to tell you about saving our characters? There are permanent apartments where you can save your stuff as well. I'm not going to go through all this right now. Certainly, this is something that you can explore yourself. Talk to this guy. In fact, talk to all the NPCs and get as much information about you as can. I'm just going to do a very, very quick run through. So, next thing, we want to come over here to read the sign or to activate things. You generally are going to press the A. So here it says beds to reality is what the sign says. And then we can move on from there. So let's see, if I come up to here, I'll read this sign. Again, I'm just going to shout nothing for a little while, and then I'm going to press the A button to activate the sign or to read it. Some doors and gateways automatically swing. Again, I'll let you read all this. I'm just going to do a quick run through for now. So just by standing in front of the doors, these are what the bed to realities look like. And as you can see down here on the very bottom, bed to reality is what I'm standing on. It's on the floor. That's what I'm going to be looking for. And at that point, I should be able to press the letter A to activate. Let me skip another line. I'm going to press the A to activate the bed. And here it says, I must gain a little bit of experience before we can save. So if you've got 0 experience, as soon as you've got 1 point of experience, you'll be able to come back to this bed, press the A button, and save. In the meantime, I can walk onto this floor button. That's the way to open this door. And then when I'm through, I can step on this green thing. Notice down at the bottom, tells me what's here. There's a cabbage. I'm going to press the comma, and it says you pick up the cabbage. And so now in my inventory, right in this section, I have a cabbage. I've got some other things. I've got a guide to close combat, sack, longsword. It is being used. Chainmail is being used. All this kind of stuff is being worn and used, highlighted or in bold color. And I've got some coins as well. I'm going to pick up all the loot or all the goodies. So that just means coming here. There are some carrots. Press the comma. Move over here. There's some water. Press the comma. Some food. Press the comma. There's a sign. Press the A to activate or to read the sign. It says food is important. Always make sure you have food. I already told you that. Come back up to here. Now, there are also some hidden doors and passages, and so we'll get into that a little bit later, but for right now, I know there is one to the left, and it's the only one on this level, so I'm going to start attacking to the left, and I'm just going to keep attacking. In fact, I'm just going to hold down the 4 button. Just hold it down, hold it down, hold it down, and finally I break through. And here is some platinum. Now, platinum is more valuable than gold, so 12 platinum pieces is really nice for a newbie character. I will use the comma to pick it up, and I will come down, press the A to activate the sign. Curiosity, its own reward, but a bit of money is nice too. All right, so then we'll come back up and we'll leave the area. The next thing that we want to explain is how to use locks, doors, all this kind of stuff. So if I come up to this door and I use the 8 button to try to go through, it says the door is locked. Now it's possible for me to keep attacking this door for so long, I might finally bust it down, especially if you are a character with a very high strength, then you might be able to bust it down. In fact, let me just do that. So I've got the maximum strength here, 22. I'm holding down the 8 button, and I'm keeping knocking it. Now some doors just might not break through, but yep, there it was. I broke through. So did not need a key for that door. But in reality, I shouldn't have had to have done that, and some weak characters might not be able to break down doors, or it might take them a lot longer. So over here, there's a sign that will read and says there's many different types of doors, and it gives you information on the doors, which I won't read. But there are some keys here, and these keys are the normal way that will open doors. And so sometimes it might be a mystery or a puzzle to find out where those keys are to unlock the doors that you need to get through. So now that we've got some keys here, I'm just going to press the comma and the comma to pick those up. And now we've got some doors. When I try to go through the door on the left, it says you need a special key to open this door. So the keys that I picked up aren't going to open it, and no matter how long I try to bust through this door, it is not going to open. I need the key. So now let's press the number 8 and go north, and you'll see it disappeared immediately because I had the key. I didn't need to break down the door. When I come to this chest, it's always good to search chests, so you can stand on it or even stand one space away from it and press the letter S. I search the area. Sometimes you might need to press the S a lot of times. I would say when you're a new character especially, you don't have a very good search skill, you might want to press the S 20 times even to make sure that you really do a good search. There might not, it's likely it could be trapped. I don't know the percentage right off. This one probably isn't trapped, being in the newbie start area. So I'll just get on top of it, and to activate the chest, I will press the A. It says I don't have a key to activate this chest. So if I move over here, it's down at the bottom. This is the chest key. Okay, different type of key. I will use the comma to pick it up, walk back over here, and now I'm going to press the A to activate it. Yep, the chest key opened up this specific chest. And if we look down here on the bottom, I can see that inside that chest is a strange key. Oh, that's nice. I'll use the comma to pick that up. And then I can come down to this special door, and I can use the number 4 to go to the left. Yep, that special key opened the special door. And now I can come here. I'm going to search a bunch of times with the S and see if I find a trap. It doesn't look like it. So I'll get on top, press the A, and if we look down here at the bottom, you'll see I've got some rewards. Some water, 3 gold coins, not a lot, but it's something. Comma, comma, pressing the comma button picks those up. Now I can come back out. Here's another guy you can talk to. I am going to double quote, hello. And so some of the people will kind of give you hints or come right out and tell you things that you can say for what type of responses they're going to give. So I said hello. He says, would you like to learn about key bindings? Like I mentioned before, we don't want to be typing in a lot of commands that we do very repetitiously. So binding a single keystroke to a longer command might be very helpful. I'm not going to go through this right now, but as a newbie character, you definitely should read this, follow this. I'm just trying to show you that you can give responses. So as example, I might double quote yes to reply yes and see what he says to that. And so he'll say there's 2 ways to bind keys. You can do graphical or the command typing way. And again, I'm going to leave that up to the viewer to figure out. But let's move on to here. So this talks about doors and applying things, making things happen in the game. And so the sign says a tutorial for using items. And again, I would suggest that you spend more time to read all of this later. But for now, down below this gate, you'll notice that there is a gate that I can't get through, and there's different types of barriers or doors. And so if I just step on this button, you'll notice that the door down south gets open. When I step off the button, it goes back up. For this type, I have to press the letter A to activate it. And same for this, I will press the letter A to activate it. And then the doors go down. I'm going to step on this sign over here, and I'm going to press A to activate the sign. And this sign says, this door opens when you say Shazam. So I've got to say Shazam for the door down below me to open. So I will double quote Shazam. It opens that door. I will activate and step on this button, and now look what I've done. I've opened all 4 doors at the same time, and now this energy beam can shoot across. And I'm pretty sure that the reason we're seeing this in this game is just to say, here's how, or we might be presented with a puzzle. Maybe an energy beam has to shoot something against the opposite wall. We've got to make something happen. It might take a little bit of a puzzle to solve that. And I've kind of shown you reading the signs, activating the buttons can make that kind of thing happen. All right. The next thing here is about using weapons, reading this sign, activating that sign, or coming over here, activating this sign is going to tell you to go fight these ants off to the left. And if we left click over here, somewhere on those creatures, it says there's an ant. If we left click on that mound, it's an ant hill. If we left click on that person way up at the top of the screen, we see that's Sigmund. So the left click is a way that we can spy or identify. Maybe I shouldn't use the word identify, because that is a special spell to identify items. But it's a way that we can look to see what those things are from a far distance without having to get right up next to it or on it. So I see that there's a bunch of ants here, and the signs are telling me just to walk right into the ants to fight them. So I'm going to press the number 4 on my keypad and press the number 4 again and again and again and again, and keep pressing. And you'll notice that in the chat window, you cut the ant, you killed the ant, I'm cutting the next ant, killed the next ant, and so on. And the ants are very easy to kill, especially for a fighter. If you are using magic, I will also say that for a new character trying to use magic, whether it's a priest or a wizard, this whole area, this whole newbie section, does not allow magic. So you will still need to fight with a dagger or something. And since physical fighting isn't going to be your normal way of attack for those characters, it's a little bit more difficult. And that's why I strongly encourage starting off with a fighter. And then, of course, you can always have that fighter character come save your wizard or cleric, or priest, a little bit later on in the game as well. Again, it's a multiplayer game, so sometimes or oftentimes playing with multiple people. One person can be a fighter, another a wizard, and another person could be a priest for healing. And all 3 of you could join together, play in a multiplayer game, go in, fight the monsters, try to get the treasures, solve the mysteries, and so on. So for this, I'm just going to show you that as I keep pressing the 4 a lot and come down in through here, notice that in this case, I'm getting surrounded by the ants. And if we look down at my health, these ants aren't attacking me very easily. But if I take off my chainmail and my shield, so I've got less armor on, then you'll see those ants are doing a little bit more damage to me, and I don't want my health to go down. I also want you to notice that since I've walked into the middle of them, and now they're surrounding me, if I press the letter or the number 6 to try to go off to the right, that ant is blocking me. And I have a possibility of dying here while I'm surrounded, getting hit by a lot more ants than if I just keep them off to one side of me. So there's a little bit of strategy involved in the fighting. So I'm going to put my armor back on. And to do that, I'm just going to use the mouse and middle click these items, the chainmail, the shield, middle click those, and I'm still losing some health points, so I really want to get out of the middle of this. So I'm going to hold down the number 6 as much as I can until I kill that ant in the way, and then I raced to the opposite wall. So now, and of course in this newbie area, the ants are set up to not get past this one area. So I'm safe. They're not going to continue to follow me. Normally, once we get out into the normal world, the monsters will chase you down. So you might need some skill or techniques to evade them. It's not overly difficult to invade them, but sometimes you can get yourself trapped. So again, notice that I killed a few ants, and now I have some experience down here, 35 points. And if I want a little bit more, I can just attack some, but I'm not going to race in to the center of them. I'm just going to stay right here on the edge, and if I do accidentally get moved into them, because one died and then I took a step forward, I'm just going to back up a couple spaces until I'm safe, and then come back again and attack a few more, back up. Again, this is the newbie area, so you're pretty safe. In the normal world, you'll have them coming right at you. Notice my experience down at the bottom. It's got 60 points now. Over here, it talks about using ranged weapons, so if you have a bow or something, you could fire into them. Spells, again, do not work in this entire level. This talks about books and reading and spell casting. Both a mage and a priest, or I should say maybe a wizard and a priest, have the ability to cast different types of spells. And even if you don't start off to be a mage or a wizard or a priest, you could still build up your intelligence and wisdom capabilities and get those abilities later on. It's just that you're going to start off a little bit lower in those. So I can get on top of this. Notice down here at the bottom it talks about it's a crafting manual, so there's a lot of crafting where you can build your own items in here. And it starts off to be a lead bar. So I want to press the letter A to read it, and fortunately, even with my very low intelligence, I can read this. Notice that now my experience is 373. That's great. One thing I really want to show with this is the fact that read everything you can, because some of those readings will get you experience. I'm going to move over to this next book, Compendium. I'm going to press the letter A to activate. Again, I was able to read some things about it, and my experience is now up to 694. I'm going to come over here, read this way beyond my comprehension. Again, my intelligence is only 6. So there's going to be a lot of things that I can't read, and if I want to try to do things in the game that boost my intelligence later, I can. And there's plenty of treasures defined in the game that can boost your stats up to a certain maximum. But I can't read this book right now. That's okay. If you were starting off to be a wizard character, you'd have some disadvantages in certain areas, but you'd have higher intelligence and be able to read these books right off. So I'm just going to come here, A to read, A, and A. So I would activate each of those. My experience is now at 1055. And again, for a new player, I would actually go and look at the text that it says just to see what's going on there. I'm just going to, I know this is already kind of a long video. I'm just going to try to speed things up a little bit. This next thing is about searching for traps. Get on the sign, activate. So we have skills, or it talks about traps. We have skills for finding traps, skills for disarming traps, and so there are traps all along the brown squares, the tiles, for this, and so we want to be careful. And I know that because it's the same every time you start a new character. The black marble that I'm on is safe, except look right below where my character is. There's a red flash. Hopefully you can see it in the video. It flashes, there it is again, every now and then. And there's a trap right there. So I'm going to get next to that trap, not on it, or I will set it off. And from here, I'm going to press the letter S to search. And so it says you spot a rune of confusion. And notice I'm going to press the S again and see over here on the right hand side of where I'm at, they just show up for a second, but those are hidden traps that I'm pressing S and just seeing. Okay. So now I'm aware there's some traps. I need to disarm them. So I'm just going to press the letter D, and I got really lucky and successfully disarmed all 3 of those runes of confusion and that main trap right below me. That was super lucky. Normally, you, especially a new character without any skill at all, is probably going to fail in disarming traps at least a couple of times and accidentally set them off as you're disarming them. Fortunately, the confusion isn't overly deadly. So I'm going to move a little bit, press the S again, search for this trap. Notice, let's come over to this other side here. Notice that my experience is 1416. I'm going to do a search, and I see that there's 3 traps on that side as well. I'm going to press the D to disarm. Notice this time I only disarmed 1 of them. Press the D again, or no, I'm sorry, it's saying I failed to disarm it. Press the D again, and now I successfully armed 2 of them, but failed to disarm the 3rd. So D again and again and again until I finally successfully disarm it. I'm going to move up a little bit to here, search 3 more traps, runes of confusion. I'll press D and successfully hits them. Search D to try to disarm them until I finally do. And search, press the letter D and D. Now I got really lucky and was able to disarm all of these without setting any of them off. Oh, there we go. Just tried to disarm this one, and it says you detonated it. And you saw that colorful blotch surround my character. So now when I press the number 8, you'll notice that I don't necessarily go in the right direction. I'm pressing the letter 8 again and again and again, and you notice I'm just going in random directions because I'm confused now. So I'm just going to press the letter S and search for a little while. Press the D to disarm them. Try to move around a little bit. Search, search, search. Press the letter D. And you'll notice at some point I've spent so much time being confused, it finally says you've regained your senses. And then when I move around, I'll be moving around properly again. There's another trap over here. D to disarm a couple of times until I successfully disarm it. Search some more until I finally search that whole area. Okay. So notice now my experience is up to 1429 because I've disarmed some traps. Also, you can run a command. So single quote skills is going to show me my skills. And here you can see disarm traps. I have 194 experience in that, 180 experience in finding traps, literacy experience, one-handed weapons, but there's a bunch of other skills, and there are a lot of other skills than just these. This is just what is popping up on the screen at the moment. I can handle some weapon improvements. I'm not worshiping a god, again for priests, and even a fighter character, maybe once you gain more wisdom, could worship a deity and ask for healing and other things at times as well. We can do a single quote and then type who to see who's in the game. So it looks like it's me, Bob, and there's a Steph the Warrior, Fireborn, in the main world near that region, or I should say in that region, which is part of the main city. So where am I? Okay, I'm going to come down here and get on top of this potion, comma, to pick up that potion. Come down to this sign, it says food. I'm going to press A to read the sign. Remember to eat. If your food reaches 0, you're going to have a problem. Go near the altar, say food, and we'll get some food. So I'm going to double quote food, and I'm going to double quote food again, double quote food again, double quote food again, to say it 4 times. It's created some food down here. Notice if I look down here at what's on the floor, there's 4 or 5 food rations. So comma, 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 4 commas to pick up those 4 foods. Coming over here, we can double quote hello to say hello, and the doorman gives me a little message, says some keywords. We can get more help from him. Again, as a newbie, you should read all that and talk to him a little bit longer. I'm going to come here to this lever, press A to activate, go through the door. Now, because I've played this before, I know there are some traps up here. There's a spike trap. And so I'll press the D a bunch of times, trying to disarm that trap. In fact, I'll just hold down the D key. I'm still holding it. Let's move up one more space. So I forgot about something here. So even though I can see this spikes flashing, I haven't actually searched for it. And so because this is the newbie room, it's giving me a little hint that there's a spike trap there. So but before I can disarm it, I actually need to search and discover it, or my character needs to search and discover it. So I'll press S. It says I searched, I didn't find it. S, S, S. And now I spot a rune of Perilous, which is this yellow thing above me in the wall. That's not exactly what I was looking for. So I'm just going to press the S a lot more. It keeps saying that I find, now it says you spot the spikes, and the spikes permanently show up. They're not flashing anymore. Now I can press the D, and it says you failed to disarm. We successfully disarmed the spikes, and we got some experience, so we're level 2. And I'm going to press the D a couple more times, and we successfully disarm. I see the rune of paralysis. From over here, and again, because I've played this before, I know there's another trap right down here. I will search, 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 press the search a bunch of times, S, and hold down the S, and finally I spot that rune. And then I'm going to press the D to disarm. I failed to disarm it, but I'm not standing on it, so I'll press the D a couple more times until I'm finally successful disarming. Walk down and over here. Now as I walk to the left at this point, it's going to be a sign that just pops up. Notice I don't really see a sign, but just stepping on that point on the map is going to show me a clue. Again, that might be something to keep in mind later. Perhaps to get certain clues, you might need to stand on a special place on the map. And this one says to say hello world to open the door. So I will not be able to get through that door unless I double quote hello world. There are going to be ants on the other side of this door that will try to attack me and actually rush at me. So I want to be a little aware of that. And for priest characters and wizard characters who don't have a lot of armor or hit points, this could be a little bit of a dangerous area. So I'm going to move with the 4 key and move to the left until I'm standing on this door. And you'll notice it says I'm getting crushed by the gate, so I probably shouldn't stand right here. It's probably harming my health a little bit. But I'm just trying to show you that where I want to try to get to are the double doors. And the ants are blocking me, so I might have to keep attacking. Now, if I race back this far, the traps have already been disarmed, so it's not a big deal. And again, in the newbie area, the map is not going to let the ants get any closer to me than that ant is doing right there. Right? So that's good. I'm safe over here. But I can race at it with the 4, and oops, the door is closed again. Double quote, hello world is the secret password to open it up. I'm going to press the number 4 and race, but now I'm going to use the number 1 to go at a down left angle until I get there. Then I'm going to use the number 2 to go straight down. When I'm at this door, I'm going to quickly press the A to apply. And now I'm out of there. So I don't want to stay too long fighting those ants if you're one of the type of characters who doesn't have good protection. Once I'm here, the only way to go, cannot go through these gates, is through this portal. So these blue whirlpool things are going to be portables to another level, another room, another place on a different map. So I'll step on that, and now I am in the main city. This is the city of Scorn, and most players are going to probably be here. And this is a very good normal world place to start. So if you're running a character and you don't need those items from the Newbie Center again and again, you can skip that and just come straight to here. Although keep in mind that Newbie Center does have that secret door that we had to hack through that had 12 platinum pieces, and for new characters that is a decent amount of money. You're not gonna find that much money out in this normal part very easily, right? So as the game creator, I have left a few goodies around, like these emeralds for the players that join my game to pick up and sell and get a little bit more money, just as a way to help out my friends who are helping me to get this game kicked off. And so far, I haven't said anything about this public. So everyone who does get in next week or so is probably just going to be a friend of mine. So anyway, that is the quick breakthrough of the Newbie Start House. And I just want to get this video out to help people get through that. Once you're in here, there are several ways to chat with people. Again, single quote WHO runs the WHO command to see who is logged into the game right now. Then pressing the enter key, hello all, or saying hello, chats in a global chat room where everyone in the game can hear and respond no matter where they're at. You could also press the single quote and then chat hello all that way to do the same thing. So again, single quote allows you to start a command. The command is called chat to do a global chat, and then whatever you want to say. Rather than typing the single quote, the word chat, we don't want to do that all the time. So we have a key binding where just pressing the enter key automatically starts to run the chat command. Okay? And then we can do that. All right, I guess that is it for the beginner. I guess the only other thing, read the signs as always. It tells you where the safe places are in the city. There are several places to train and do battle. but the easiest place and the next place for beginners is to walk over here to the left, press A on that sign. These two houses to the west, to the left, Beginners 1 and Beginners 2 provide some valuable lessons. So one space to the left. Notice down at the bottom, I begin Beginner's House 1, press the A to activate. You can come up here, of course there's a guy to talk to down here, come up, go through the whirlpool, and then there's signs to read, and start at the bottom and work your way up. They get harder as you go up, and then you can come over to this side and work your way back down. Again, they'll get harder as you come this way. Right? That'll be a good place to start. Go out the whirlpool, you're back here, go out the door, and you're back in town. Okay. Oh, actually, there's one more quick little thing I want to show before we go, and that is how to save your character. Very important. So, like I said earlier, this game is not normally going to let you just quit. If we type in quit, it's going to say we need to apply or do an A to on the bed to reality. Otherwise, if we want to delete our character, we can use the delete command. In fact, speaking about commands, if we just do a single quote help, that gives us some help, could be kind of important. And then also if we say single quote help commands, then we can see a ton of different commands that we could get help on specifically. So there's, for example, a apply command. We can get single quote help for the apply command specifically, and it'll give us a little bit of information on that. That should help you get started. But in general, I want to show the way to save. No, we just can't quit. However, we can leave our character in world indefinitely. So if you know you're going to come back in 5 minutes or even 5 hours, if you just want to leave it logged in while you sleep, the server will be up and running. And in general, if you're here in the middle of town, your character will not be harmed. Anyway, to save your character, here's where we started. Here's this sign that says welcome to Crossfire. And we can walk over to the right, and there is this building down here right against the wall. And as we look down, what's here? It's the Wanderer's Inn. And then we'll press A to activate or enter that building. Now that we're in here, this is another place. We see a book, so we should probably walk over and up and press the A to read it. And you might have noticed that I've gained some experience points for reading it. This is an interesting book, in fact, that some books, once you read them, you can't reread them and get more experience. But this book will allow you to reread it a certain number of times, maybe once a day, maybe once every few hours. If I come back up right now and I press the A to try to read it again, it shows me the output over here, but I don't actually get any more experience. However, I've found that if I get back into the game a couple hours later, I can come back, reread or apply that book again, and I'll get a little bit more experience. So that's kind of a neat little feature. Like I said, not all books do that. Come over to the sign, press the letter A to read it. It talks about going over to or finding a bed and then using the A to apply so we can save our game. So I'm just going to come up here, find a bed, hop on top. We do see down here this is a bed to reality. So one of the things that we want to notice is not every bed in the game is a bed to reality. So some maps might have a bed that represents visual for what a house might look like. So we actually need to see bed to reality, a special type of bed. And then we can press the letter A, and that gets us out of the game. Okay. All right, that is it for today. I'm going to try to be online myself as much as possible to help out any new players, But hopefully this video will help you get on your way if I am not around for some reason. All right. Thank you much. We'll have another video very soon.